The way we view the world is distorted. It is warped by our past experiences, feelings, and opinions. If we aren't paying attention, the way we see things every moment of every day is being unconsciously edited and shaped by our mind. So I am here to tell you why this is a huge problem, how I noticed it, and what happened afterwards. And I'm also going to tell you about a completely free and highly effective tool to notice and start to fix this for yourself as well. As we go through life, we have experiences that stick with us. These are good experiences, bad experiences, scary, beautiful, dangerous, amazing things. So if we were to somehow go into your brain and make a chart of these events, we would see enormous spikes of energy on the structure of your mind. So if we aren't careful when things happen in life, and by default we are not careful, these spikes of energy will get put into long-term storage inside of us. So these are traumatic events, awesome events, beautiful events, terrifying events. They're just big spikes of energy, and they get put in long-term storage by default. Then when something happens in life that triggers the memory of the event, that same stored energy will get activated again, and we will essentially relive that same experience every time. Furthermore, when this happens, unfortunately, we often have the exact same reaction as we did the first time. We don't like it, so we mentally push it away. Or we like it too much and we cling on to it because we don't want it to end. This habit creates a complex distortion structure in our consciousness. The best way I can explain it to you is like if you had a lens in front of your vision. 99% of the time, this lens is not helpful, but we still allow it to be just stuck in front of our face. Don't misunderstand. There are times when using our experience is very helpful and can help us see things more clearly. Sometimes knowledge of what happened before can be very helpful in examining the moment that is in front of you. And in fact, the ability to look at life through the lens of experience is one of the most mysterious and important things that has happened to our species during our evolution. However, I am here to tell you that you don't have to have the lens in front of you all the time. In fact, you really shouldn't, because when you do, this is like, it's always holding you back or limiting you in some way. And in some cases, I know you've seen this before and you can agree, it's even ruining people's lives. You will be able to see reality much better and thus create more clear, accurate, and useful memories when you practice looking at life without first letting your mental distortions from your personal past define what is currently happening. Making this a habit is some of the most important work you can possibly do as a human. There are methods and tools and practices that can help you with this, and those are topics that I will cover later in other videos, but for now, I just want you to start noticing the lens that you have in front of your face. And before we go, I will leave you with a tool that is very good for doing this. First though, it's important to see why this is such an important issue. This problem of personal distortion of reality is one of the biggest ones that we face as a species, and it's one of the biggest things holding us back from what we could become as a civilization. Personally, for me, viewing life through the distorted lens of my past experiences has caused me anxiety, depression, poor financial decisions, fear of failure, fear of success. It has sabotaged my happiness, it has stolen my adventurous spirit, it has taken my creativity away, and it has sent me down some dark, doom-scrolling holes that lasted for weeks. It took hope out of my heart. It has prevented me from seeing opportunity. It has kept me from starting great businesses, and it has caused failure in businesses that I did start. I'll tell you more about my experience in a minute, but first I want to tell you why I started doing the work of fixing this and why it will benefit you as well immediately if you start. If you practice this work of noticing your personal reactions to each moment, you can begin to actually see the true nature of reality. This is not necessarily a scientific number, but based on my observations, over 99% of people are not doing this. If you can see reality, where others cannot. This allows you to have a much richer experience of life, as well as a much greater positive impact on others. You can help reduce suffering. You can create very useful products and services. You can even become wealthy if you want to, and without all the self-destructive behavior and anti-humanity attitude that usually accompanies wealth that comes to people who are still unconscious of this problem. You can become a powerful light in this world. And instead of stumbling around and just creating more pain for yourself and others, you can instead relieve a great deal of suffering if you work on this, and you will become a portal that others will use to access the same abundance of life. So, how do people talk themselves out of solving this problem? Dropping the personal opinions and experiences while living daily reality is both difficult and scary at first. The work is hard, and to your consciousness, it's similar to the difference between lounging on the couch and taking a somewhat challenging hike in the woods. It just takes work. You'll want to rest, and you will find that when you take a break and let down your conscious attention, that very soon afterwards, you'll be right back where you started. Scared, angry, anxious, addicted, depressed, or doom scrolling. This can be discouraging. But the fact that you now notice this is happening is one of the biggest shifts in consciousness that a person can experience. For my personal experience with this work, I am very fortunate to have a best friend who recommended Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now and insisted that I read it. He had never insisted that I read a book before, and he'd recommended me many good ones, but he said, if you ever listen to me about a book, you need to read this one. At the time, I was building a sales team, training new people how to make money in a commission-only role. I didn't know it when I read the book, but I was about to go through a time of great difficulty. In the year after I read The Power of Now, I created one of the top sales teams in the nation. Shortly after which I came under personal attack by my other team leader peers because they wanted to convince my top sales agents to leave my team and go join theirs. And they succeeded in this in many cases, actually. And after that, I nearly went bankrupt. I had to give up my prized airplane, which I had worked to buy for 10 years, and had to sell all of my valuable possessions. I was late on rent and credit card payments a few times, and my then girlfriend, now my wife, cried every few days because of the crushing anxiety of financial struggle. However, I now knew about consciousness and how to experience difficult times without wasting energy taking things personally or making plots for revenge. So I just started working with different people. I changed the way I approached the insurance business, and I built a business model that served my customers actually much better, and it ended up pulling us out of the dark depths of being broke. In fact, my success took the pressure off my wife so she could build her own creative businesses. A few of them succeeded spectacularly, actually. And in 2020, we were able to buy a beautiful home and my dream car, my favorite car, a Tesla Model X Performance. More importantly, though, this new awareness of and honesty about reality and my reactions to it has created an inner and outer environment of peace, love, understanding, as well as just a deep and abiding sense of presence that is unlike anything I have experienced before. If you've watched this far, you must also be interested in how to create an inner and outer world of just great abundance, or at least get started on feeling better inside. So I will leave you with this tool that I learned from the great teacher, Michael Singer. He says to choose an event that happens very often that annoys or frustrates you. He gives the example of driving behind someone who is just going much slower than you would personally prefer to drive. And he says that when this is happening, notice your reaction to it and just relax and release the reaction. Practice letting go of the frustration or anger or annoyance So by identifying a common trigger and taking that opportunity to notice an ego-based reaction to it and letting go of the toxic energies that have built up in your mind, that your mind creates in that situation, you will build a habit that will expand into other areas of your life. As you practice this, you will start to notice much more nuanced and more subtle reactions to things as they occur. And by noticing, you can begin to choose an action or non-action that is conscious, rather than just react according to your programming to whatever's happening. Now, don't think this is a quick one and done process. If you start doing this, I'm going to warn you, if you start doing this, you will realize that it is going to be a lifelong practice, and you will never be done bringing active and aware consciousness into the present moment. However, after doing this for a while, you will also realize that there's nothing on earth that could make you give it up, because your experience of life is just so much more full and your consciousness has so much more energy. I sincerely hope you take this path. Choose something like the slow driver that is a daily challenge for you, and work on growing your awareness of your currently unconscious reactions. I hope this changes your life as it has changed mine. Send this video to your friends. I am on a mission to increase the number of conscious people, because I know by personal experience that being conscious makes life much nicer for you and everyone around you. I love you. Be sure you're subscribed. I'll be bringing you more soon.